there is one thing that football fans don't pay attention to. That thing is, not all the coaches are meant for the big sides. Not all the players are meant for the big sides. Some players are meant for the average clubs. They get some players will be say they no fit hold themselves. They no fit find their feet for big clubs. You get some players will be say they are well suited. In fact, them and small teams, average teams, below average teams in a marriage where they make for heaven. To play for a big side as a player and as a coach, there are two things that you must have. You must have two solid attributes. Okay, let's take player for instance. As a player, for instance, you must have the mentality as a player. Secondly, you must have the talent. There is another thing having the talent, and there is another thing having the mentality. So as a player, you must have the talent to play at a big side. It's not just playing and being a passenger. Play and be one of the core players at that team. Be instrumental at that club side. Let's take some coaches as instance of coaches that cannot coach, that are meant for the average side. Number one, Graham Potter. It's a good example of a coach that is meant for the average side. We saw what he did with Brighton and Hove Albion. He did well with them, but when he went to Chelsea, when he was appointed the manager of Chelsea, what happened? The rest, like they say, was history. David Moyes. He did well at Everton. Everton nearly qualified for the Champions League. Did everything. Finished fifth in the Premier League. Blah, blah, blah. Ferguson said, no, this is a Scottish man. This is my Scottish brother. You are the next thing after sliced bread. Come over to Old Trafford and continue from where I stopped. What happened? The rest was history. Then let's take an example of, let me now land where I want to land. There's a player I want to talk about. That's why I gave this long foundation of this topic. Let's now talk about the player. An example of players that succeed, that are meant for the average side. Jack Grealish. Jack Grealish is one of the most fortunate players in the world. Like how Jack Grealish hides under the radar is what I don't understand. I don't wrap my head around it. All his parasite performance, all his below average performances, you don't get it. You don't get to see people criticizing Jack Grealish for everything that he does. Jack Grealish at Aston Villa played good football. He was their main man because Aston Villa is an average side. Though they are in the Champions League this season, but Aston Villa is an average side. They are an average side. You cannot compare Aston Villa with the elite teams in the world, the best of the best. You cannot put them in that bracket. They don't follow. Aston Villa no Bath. We are the likes of Madrid, Man U, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, them day. These are elite clubs. Don't Man U to this nowadays don't turn to within I don't know. But Aston Villa is an example of an average team. That's why Jack Grealish was able to do everything that he did at Aston Villa, though it was still average. Because if you use the microscope and the rating of a big player in a big side and rating what he did at Aston Villa, is still below standard. Jack Grealish. I hear people talk about Pep Guardiola has limited Jack Grealish. He has limited Jack Grealish. Guardiola has spoiled Jack Grealish's career. Guardiola has done this one. See, let me tell you the truth. Jack Grealish is simply not good enough. He's simply not good enough. Look at Jack Grealish's statistics. Since Jack Grealish joined Manchester City, it's over 4 years, over 4 seasons. Jack Grealish has only 11 Premier League goals. 11 Premier League. That's why I said he's fortunate. He can hide under the radar. He can afford to score 11 goals in 5 seasons, and nobody will say anything. Assist below 7. Jack Grealish. He may have the talent, but the mentality is not there. That mentality is what you put in, week out. That mentality carries your talent for you to put out fantastic performances. Let's say at least an average of 60% performance week in, week out. It will not be below 60%. That's what makes you a great player meant for the A-League clubs. But someone like Grealish is an example of a player that is meant for the average side. He's meant for the average side because he cannot hold his own at an average side, at a big side where the expectations are high. At Manchester City, the expectations are high. They must win. They are under pressure to win. So if you don't have the mentality, you will not win. You will not be amongst the first 11. That's why the likes of Oscar Bob and small boys from academy, Master Academy can afford to bench Jack Grealish because he doesn't have the mentality to play for the big side. Now they are about to let him go. They signed him for over £100 million with high expectations. And people talk about Guardiola limited him. Guardiola spoiled Grealish. Did this one? Did Guardiola limit other? Why didn't he limit other players? We've seen wingers flourish under Pep Guardiola. Why is it that it's only Grealish that Guardiola has limited? Why is it that it's only Grealish? Because he's simply not good enough. He's simply not good enough.